All right, in this video, we're gonna talk about the 3 different ways you can bulk and build muscle. I'm gonna show you exactly how to do each one of these, the pros and cons of each one, and then I'm gonna show you pictures of myself after each one of these bulks since I've done all 3. And I'm gonna give you my own thoughts on which one I think would be best for you. Now, before we get into all of these 3 types, keep in mind that I started lifting when I was about 14, 15, seriously about 16. And this picture right here is me when I was about 16 or 17. I did my first marathon when I was 17, so I was running and lifting at the same time, but I was lifting at least 3 days a week pretty consistently at this point. So this is a good starting point for us to look at before we jump into all of the bulking pictures. All right, so the first bulking type we have, the first way to build muscle is the dirty bulk. Now, if you like to eat, this is gonna be the most fun for you. It's suggested that you eat at least 1,000 calories over your maintenance level, but it really is just, eat as much as you can. I did this back when I was in college, my first time really trying to really bulk hard, and I went hard with this. My gym buddy and best friend, me and him, we were just essentially eating as much as we could. We would eat 6 to 7 meals a day. Some of those would be clean meals, but we were going and having burgers for lunch. We'd have, burgers after our bouncing job at night. We were eating as much as we could fit into our stomachs. We were eating essentially until we felt sick. Now, you don't have to dirty bulk this hard, but this is a lot of times what it means. It means that you're not really gonna be tracking calories. You're just gonna be eating as much as you can. The whole argument with this is to go ahead and essentially just put on as much weight as possible. You know you're gonna be putting on fat, but you know underneath that fat, you're also gonna be putting on large amounts of muscle. Many bodybuilders of the 80s and 90s made dirty bulking really popular. A very famous one is Lee Priest. Lee Priest would go ahead and eat a ton of food in the off season, but then he would lean down and have amazing shape up on stage. So for this one, all you essentially have to do is just throw your MyFitnessPal away, delete that off your phone, and just eat. Eat until you really can't eat anymore. This means that you're not letting really more than 2-3 hours go without you eating. You're having cheat meals on a regular basis, all of that. This is dirty bulking. This is to where you're not really that concerned with your health. You're just trying to put on absolutely as much as weight as possible. Now, the pros and cons with this. The pros of this is that you will be putting on weight. With the weight comes a lot of strength. I was at my strongest point when I was going through a really heavy dirty bulk because I got at my heaviest weight, and with weight, not only just muscle mass, but with weight comes added strength. That's why a lot of times you see really strong strongmen or powerlifter competitors. A lot of them want to just put on a lot of weight. They want to put on muscle with that strength, but with that weight comes strength. So you put on a lot of strength with it. Another pro is if you like to eat, this one is going to be a lot of fun for you. I mean, this is one where you can go ahead and really try to mark that competitive eater checkbox off your list. This is one where you can really just eat and eat and eat. Now, the cons for this are very obvious. With this, you're going to gain a lot of fat. If you do dirty bulking really hard, like what I did, you will get really fluffy. I got fat when I did a hard dirty bulk. So with this, if you're trying to then lean out afterwards, which I bet if you're watching this video, you want to be lean with muscle, you're gonna wanna lean out. It's gonna be a lot harder for you to get lean. And after you've gone through and built all that muscle, but you've also built on a lot of that fat, if you need to lean down fast, you're gonna lose a lot of the muscle in the cutting process. So in my opinion, dirty bulking is not worth it. So the second way you can bulk and build muscle is arguably the most popular out there, and that's clean bulking. So clean bulking has been historically to where you'll add about 500 calories a day in surplus. So 500 calories plus your maintenance level. So if your maintenance is 2,500 calories per day, you're gonna be eating about 3,000 calories per day during your bulk. Now with this, you know that you're gonna put on just a little bit of fat, but the whole point is you're trying to put on a good bit of muscle in the off season or in the bulking season, put on a good amount of muscle with minimal amount of fat. Now, if you're eating 500 calories per day, 500 calories over a week, 500 calories per day over a week, that's 3,500 calories, which equals 1 pound of fat. So if you're bulking for 3 months, for 12 weeks, you're now gonna put on 12 pounds of fat. 12 pounds of fat isn't a huge amount, but it is a pretty decent amount. So that's where with this, you still need to be a little bit careful, but this is a very kind of scientifically proven way to put on muscle, put on strength, while not putting on huge amounts of fat. This has been the way that a lot of bodybuilders right now are going through their kind of bulking and cutting phases. Is they'll essentially do 500 calories in surplus for their bulking, and then when they want to cut, they'll cut 500 calories from maintenance for their cut. So they're going through these phases of kind of a clean bulk and then a cut with that. So if you're bulking for say 3-4 months, you'll then cut for 3-4 months. When I went through this bulk was actually pretty good. I was working as a firefighter at the time. I was weighing out all my food, did everything really right, and essentially everything went to plan. I put on a decent amount of muscle. With that, I put on a little bit of fat. I lost my abs. I didn't have a six-pack at the end of the bulk. You could still tell there were abs there, so I wasn't fat, but I did have fluff. And so that is one thing you need to keep in mind with this type of clean bulk. Now, when I'm talking about clean bulking, the most popular way is to do 500 calories over your maintenance level. That's not the only way to do it. That's just a number someone threw out there. There's ways to where you can bulk. A bulk is just anything above maintenance. So you do a clean bulk with say 100 to 300 calories in surplus per day. So that is what I would really suggest, is if you're doing a clean bulk, be in that 100 to 300 range per day. And now you're only maybe over a 12-week period, only putting on 5-6 pounds of fat. It's gonna make your cut so much easier. You're gonna stay relatively lean through your whole bulk while being able to put on a lot of muscle. Now this is where it becomes really mental. A lot of people in their bulk, they want to see themselves getting bigger. They want to see their shirt sizes getting smaller on them. So that's where they try to eat more. And that's where the 500 calorie surplus a day is a little bit more fun, because you see that. But if you're willing to kind of mentally know that with 100 to 300 calorie surplus per day, you're going to be putting on size with that. You just might not see the results as quick as possible. You might not see the immediate strength gains that you would with the water weight and the fat gain with the other types of bulks. That's where, being in that 100 to 300 calories per day, you're going to stay lean and look great through the process, and then you're going to have a really easy time with your cut. This is probably the most popular way right now with influencers out there. When you see the Instagram people or people on YouTube and they stay relatively lean, they'll go through periods where they're just, a little bit not as cut, and then times where they're a lot more cut. They're doing more of this. They're making small incremental changes rather than 500 calorie surplus per day and then 500 calorie cut per day. They're doing more 100 to 300 calorie surplus per day, or eating even closer to maintenance. So this is a really good way for you to bulk and build muscle. It's more of the long-term approach that you're not then gonna have to suffer when you're wanting to cut down. You're not gonna have that much fat that you really have to burn off. You'll be building lean muscle that you can actually see while still maintaining abs. Yeah, you might not have, a shredded 8-pack, but you'll still have abs through this bulking process. Now, the third way to build muscle is the best way, but this is not going to be the best way for everybody. So that's essentially a body recomposition. So if you guys have been watching my videos, you know that right now I'm essentially attempting a body recomposition. I would say it's a body recomposition, but a little bit more on the lean bulking side. I'm doing to where I'm around maintenance, maybe adding 100 to 200 calories surplus per day. But this is where you'll essentially eat around maintenance, and you can build muscle and lose fat at the same time. A lot of people argue you can't build muscle and lose fat at the same time. You absolutely can if you are primed to do that. So primed to do that would be someone who is a newbie out there, someone who's new to training or hasn't trained hard ever really before in their life, or someone, and this is myself, who is detrained. So someone who had quite a bit of muscle before, that muscle memory, and then they took a period of time off from training. So this was me. I did the 50-mile ultra marathon back in February. I had been doing ultras for the last couple of years, so strength training was definitely on the back burner. And when I was getting ready for the 50-miler, I didn't do any strength training whatsoever. It was just really core exercises. And so I lost pretty much all of my muscle. So I was able to do a pretty successful body recomp to where I was able to essentially lose that kind of runner's skinny fat that a lot of long distance runners get, to where you don't really have abs, but you can lean out, lose fat, and build muscle at the same time. So this is perfect for newbies and for essentially detrained people. So this is where you can just eat at maintenance level. If your maintenance level is at 2,500, eat that and you can lose fat and build muscle at the same time. Now keep in mind with this is also one of those processes that you want to have patience with this. You don't need to rush this. You don't need to make drastic changes if you don't see the results that you want. That's where I just said, I've been calling it a body recomp. I'm really doing to where some days I'm eating at maintenance, some days I might eat, 100 to 200 calories in surplus, but I'm really close to that maintenance level. So those are really the 3 different types of ways to bulk and build muscle. Now this is a spectrum. You have dirty over here to where someone could be eating 5,000 calories a day above their maintenance, and then you've got clean bulking, which starts at about the 500 calorie a day, but that goes down all the way to really just above maintenance. So to be in a clean bulk, you don't have to be at that 500 calorie a day surplus. You can be more in that 100 to 300 calorie range, and that is what I would suggest for you. That is, in my opinion, the best way to bulk and build muscle. You stay relatively lean. You put on great strength and size at the same time, but then you don't have a ton of fat that you're having to cut later on. And if you've got a show, you're not then having to really do a really quick cut. You can do a really kind of slow, more enjoyable cut and lean out. And then if you are new to training or you're detrained out there, you absolutely can do a body recomposition. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. You successfully can build muscle and lose fat at the same time. You just have to be primed to do it, and you do have to be a little bit more on the ball. I am tracking calories a little bit more strict right now while I'm attempting to do this, and I'm going to be giving you guys the full results when I get done with this time period where I'm doing this recomp and testing this out. But these are the 3 different ways you can bulk and build muscle. I would avoid the dirty bulk if I were you. It was fun while I did it. But it was hell trying to lose all that weight. The clean bulk is kind of where it's at, or the body recomp if you're primed to do that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please go ahead and smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, leave any comments or questions down below. I love helping you guys out. Be happy, be positive, be powerful, and have a great rest of your day.